I went through it too, and I had some suggestions for revisions.
So how would this work? If you guys have comments, I'll just write in comments and then
Yeah.
type them in.
That's good. Okay, so my first one is before your highlighted part, so I'll just start there.
Did you want to go through and ask if we have a public comment?
Oh, well, it's just kind of freestyle.
Yeah, not quite.
If people have comments, just chime in. So section 3.2.5, I just have a question there.
So can we go through and see if I have anything that comes up before then? You're going to
Yeah, I'm going in order.
So
You didn't have any blue marks anywhere before them.
I might have had some typos. I mean, some here.
Oh, the red, the appropriate.
3.2.1, I just said to obtain support for, it said improved and appropriate educational opportunities for individuals.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
good edit.
3.2.7 you said too?
No, 3.2.5
Okay.
is just a question about that. Because it says that we're supposed to provide an article for each of the West and SELPA newsletters. I think this is different from the CAC quarterly one, so that's not something that we're actually doing.
And
So,
we don't have actual
so maybe
newsletter.
it should be deleted or, consider for deletion.
It could be in there if we ever did.
Yeah, but I mean, this is something we ran into today when we were in the fiscal one. It was like, things were gonna come up, but let's just try to make it relevant for what it is here and now. And then we could edit it if it ever came back that we wanted to do that. I don't know that they've ever done that, the West and SELPA newsletters, to do an article in it. That
So
was,
we could delete and add back in if and when.
yeah. Yeah, and then 3.2.7, so that was one I had highlighted too. So what did you change on this one?
Nothing, I just highlighted because I thought you wanted to discuss it.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's right.
Yeah.
To receive the local plan for special education at least 30 days prior to review, provide recommendations and advisement prior to submission, both for the initial plan development and subsequent revisions of the local plan. Once reviewed, the chairperson will sign the local plan as specified in Ed Code. So we are in the process of revising our whole local plan that
Right.
by state law has to define how we're set up with a unit for administrative purposes, which in our case is San Bernardino County. My role with the physical advisor, program advisor, superintendent's council, and CAC, their functions and everything. So what this is saying is that the CAC would have to review it at least 30 days prior and provide recommendations and advisement. So we're doing this piece, and then it's my intent that I think we're going to be done with hopefully everything, including matching the assurances with where's the content in the plan, so that January we can bring it to CAC. It'll go to superintendents for 2 readings and then approval.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to have them approve at their last meeting in May, so that in June it can go to school board. So we're well within this.
Right. Okay.
So that's the intent. I'll take that off. I just thought it was something that we should discuss.
The thing that I highlighted on that one was initial plan development. And then it says in subsequent revisions of the local plan. So,
So initial plan would be if you're a new SELPA and you're developing your initial plan. And then we are doing a review, which would be the revisions.
right,
And then once it's all done, the current chairperson signs it off, so it will send it to the CD.
okay. Because it says also 30 days prior to review. So does that mean review by the superintendent's council? Is that really what it's meaning there? That first,
It's not real
Clear.
clear, but I would assume that that's what they're indicating.
so I guess my suggestion here would be maybe to firm that up a little bit, because it's a little puzzling if it just means review, because then that would mean like now, because we're in the process of reviewing it. So just kind of firm up what that means exactly.
Or maybe we could say that the plan will be do we need to have days?
No, not days,
30 days?
unless that's an ed code, I don't think it is, but the chairperson signing is an ed code, we know that,
Mhm.
it's one of the forms. But the 30 days, I'm not really sure about.
Okay, so how about if I do a little research,
Okay,
look and see if there's any language, send it to you for a meeting next Monday.
okay, sounds good. And then the next one I had is something you highlighted too, the 3.2.10, which my suggestion was to change this to free parents, like to put a maximum on what it could be. I just think it would be better. And I know as far as revising the local plan, it is supposed to be a process that at least a couple of parents are supposed to be involved in the process. And at this time, it's only just one me.
So it says provide a parent representative to participate on the development team, and as the chair, that's
Right,
your role this year.
right. I guess, so my suggestion would be to consider upping it to, so it doesn't have to be 3, but my suggestion was like 3. Then if one person's absent, then there's something to cover.
Because it's just you know.
It's just me.
I know, because I'm like just listening because I don't know a whole lot
Yeah,
about this, and I'm just like, I can't really say too much right now because I'm
Right.
new and
Yeah.
I'm learning all these things.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm like,
So I will put this, that you recommend 3 CAC members participate on full review committee. We can take that to the full group next week. I wouldn't put more than 3 because then you've got a quorum possibly of a group.
right. And I wasn't even thinking that necessarily it had to be all CAC members. I mean, it could just be parent representatives. I mean, CAC members have a lot on their plates already, so maybe, other parents might be a part of it. So that was kind of my suggestion was, because even in here, it says provide a parent representative. It doesn't necessarily even say that it has to be a CAC member. So,
But given that we have a local plan review committee, I would think, and they represent different districts, you
yeah,
need to have, maybe instead of saying 3 members, you could say representatives of the local plan review committee, and that would be the 2 members on your committee.
right. Sure.
Like that instead.
so who writes
The bylaws, I don't know who they were originally written by, but they were revised in 2010, the last time, by the self-administrator, which wasn't,
She wasn't her.
right, it was a different self-administrator.
Right, okay.
So we're going through the local plan, which is the document that governs the whole agency,
Right.
and part of the local plan is our CAC bylaws. And so that's why we're here tonight, trying to look at them, and then the local plan work group will be looking at the CAC bylaws on Monday. They have their meeting. So trying to get input here to see, if anybody has suggestions
Right.
for it.
Right.
Under composition, on 4.1, I was going to suggest that we consider changing it to, instead of just 1 parent representative, putting like a max number, like a max of 3, parent representatives per district.
But we want to have a consistent number per district for voting purposes.
Right, but even right now, we haven't had Mountain View forever, Mount Baldy's never represented. So,
And I have.
no, I know that,
asked them
I know
if
you've made lots of
but-
attempts.
There are women, so people can always come, but I think thinking about this in advance, obviously, is that I think we would want to have equal numbers per district. I'll give you an example, and it's not this per se, but in my previous stuff, I was a rate vote. So the superintendent of the largest district only needed one other district to vote the way she did, and that was it, because they were so much larger than everybody else. So
Right.
I think we just want to think about what's going to be fair and equitable. So,
What do you think about 2? I mean, I think that districts have parents that are willing to do it, and they want, I know even in our district, they thought that they were gonna have the availability for 2, but right before the bylaws changed.
so we're not the final body to
Right.
decide this. So
Yeah,
we've got
that's
to
just a
think too
suggestion.
that what we take, we want to be approved.
Right.
So, how do you think superintendents would respond to that?
I really don't know, but I do know that, honestly, Susan, before you came on board, we had all these committees, and honestly, nothing was done. There was no work being done in any of the committees. And now there's a lot of work, because the committees are actually doing stuff. So I think it would
Exciting
be easy.
times.
Yeah, it's better. I think it'd be better if there was more manpower. That's kind of where my mind is going too, is having more manpower. And each committee, I mean, look at my committee. There's nobody here for my committee.
Well, it's very
You know?
time on a
Yeah,
cold
that's
night.
true.
December
But there's no one
is a
here, but
workshop.
if there were, more people that were on the CAC, the likelihood of there being more people showing up and doing the work that needs to be done.
I think it's
would
like
increase.
for culture change. So.
Yeah. So it's just a suggestion, and I know it's a hard sell, but but that was something I was thinking about.
If I may,
Yeah.
I think a possible reason why more parents aren't, trying to be more involved is, I think most of us don't know exactly what this is. I'm not saying I don't.
But that's
I actually don't,
across the
but-
state. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I have an idea of kind of what the WESELPA does, but, the CAC is the side of the WESELPA and all that is, so many committees and who does what and how does this benefit my child and,
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you guys could put out some sort of, WESELPA for Dummies brochure or something. Just something that, just really simplifies it for us. Because, we're already so overwhelmed with the information that we get.
Yeah.
Because my son, he's got Down syndrome and autism, and so, he's deeply involved in the special education, and I'm trying to, get therapy and, learn this and that and this and that. And so it's something that's really, really simple that we can just kind of look at it and go, oh, okay, let's come check it out.
Right.
So,
And this year we have done our first newsletter, posted it to the website, and that was your role playing book for
I'll
last year.
check that out. Okay.
So yeah, it's beautiful with all the art from the art and writing contest and the different pages on the sides. So
Yeah.
Do you send those newsletters to the schools to hand out?
we do send it out to the districts, but in the past, I guess it was printed out because it was black and white back to back, but this is actually 4 pages with color. So it's posted to our website, and we've asked the districts to post to their websites. And
Because
then,
I'm the PTA president at Mulberry, so maybe I can post it to our Facebook page. Would that be okay?
sure.
And that way we can get some information on this to, to at least the 30 parents that I have on my page.
That's
And
right.
Did I get your name right, Andrea?
It's Andrea, A-U-N.
Okay.
The rest is right.
Okay, so I'm gonna recommend some more mind-boggling, challenging things. Okay, so the next thing is to consider changing the community agency representative,
So where are we?
so increasing that one.
4.1.
4.1.
Okay, so we wanted to say what?
To increase increasing where it says, you know, one community agency representative under 4.1, to increasing it to 2 or to 3, something like that. And again, same reasoning, needing more manpower to do the work. In that particular section under 4.1, the very last sentence, it says current members may suggest prospective CAC members to their district director for consideration in the selection process. My suggestion is to delete that because it's just not necessary. It's not
I'm
needed.
sorry, I was typing, where are you?
Oh, the last sentence under 4.1, under current members may suggest prospective CAC members to their district director for consideration in the selection process. It's just not needed. That's my suggestion.
Yeah, that isn't how you got here, when you were trying to do the other day.
Your principal recommended by the principal.
Right? And it's usually similar to how it works for people. Where are we at? So 4.2.2, that's where you change the spelling there. And in that same thing, that says the same thing about the parents, you know, to change it, the suggestion to 2 or 3 for district. And then there's a sentence in there, 4.2.2.
Oh, got it.
There's a sentence in there that says, in cases where the district is unable to obtain a parent representative, they may appoint an individual residing in or employed by the school district concerned with the interests of students with exceptional needs, as long as this does not adversely affect the requirement for the majority of members of the CAC, and it's a long sentence, to be parents of students enrolled in schools within the West and WESELPA. And my, where am I at? My suggestion is that district boards, if they're unable to get a parent representative in their district, they can appoint whoever they want. That's their discretion, their decision. I mean, so long as it
Yeah,
doesn't
but-
mess up the status quo of the
No, but this isn't.
parents on the board. Well, I mean, ed code is anybody can be on the CAC.
But they have to be approved by the local board.
Right, that's what I'm
So we
saying.
have to have
District boards.
at least a majority of
Parents.
parents with kids with special needs.
Yeah, that's true.
So what are you saying to change instead?
I'm saying that, you know, instead of all this rigmarole of they have to be employed in the district, they have to be residing or wherever, to just, you know, something along the lines of they can appoint, the district board itself can, of that district can appoint whoever they want. So like Mount Baldy, who's not gonna send anybody down from Mount Baldy, and they haven't in the last 10 years that I've been around. We haven't had anybody representative from Mount Baldy. So Mount Baldy board, which I think is a 3-member board, could just, you know, if a parent is interested and they live out here, they could request that board appoints them, and either they do or they don't. But just make it easier, because it's not working this way where there's all these, you know, all these strict things of person has to be living there, they have to be employed there, whatever. That's not working because nobody's coming from that district to be appointed. So Mount Baldy is represented and hasn't been for a very long time.
It is a pretty open, an individual residing in or owned by the school district. They can live within the boundaries of the school district, concerned with the interests of students with exceptional needs, as long as this does not adversely affect the requirement. So as long as we don't have the majority of the districts doing that, that leaves us with not a majority of parents or students with special needs. So I think that word individual leaves it pretty open.
Yeah, well, the part that I would suggest deleting is this part, residing in or employed by the school district. As long as you got rid of everything, you kept everything else except that part, because it's just not happening. There's nobody that's
So
residing in or
let's think
employed
about
by.
why it was probably written that way. I would venture to guess it's written that way because they're your representative of that district.
Right.
And I've worked in districts where the SELPA required each district to have its own CAC that then reported every time at the SELPA CAC.
Right.
intent here, probably, I can't.
is they're probably looking at the interest of the district. So that's probably why it was for me to be lives there, works there, has a kid that lives there.
Well, it's just my suggestion because, like I say, a district like Mount Baldy, this hasn't worked for them. You know, with this, they haven't appointed anybody.
Do you think it's a change?
I think it would. I think there'd be some parents that might, you know, try to get appointed through Mount Baldy.
Yeah, but if they don't have an interest there, then why would they send somebody?
They just want to be on the CAC. Well, why would the board approve them?
Well, why would they even want to do it if they don't really have a special interest in, you know?
You mean in the district,
Yes.
in the Mount Baldy School District? No,
Would you do it?
They might not necessarily have an interest, but they just want to be on the CAC. They want to help out with the CAC. And it's up to that board whether or not they're going to appoint that person or not. It just makes it easier on them, I think. I don't know
Maybe.
if they would or not. But loopholes, you know, there's no, this is pretty tight as far as them not being able to have somebody. So I don't know.
Okay, so I captured the questions, I think, take a look, I've said.
Uh-oh.
That wasn't, I think, writing like I meant to. Highlight. So I said, could board appoint a CAC member that just wants to serve on the CAC, but is not a resident employer, resident employee, or, what was the other? Parent. In the district. And then I said, Gloria questioned why they would if the person has no interest in the district. So we'll take that forward. I mean, it's both
Okay.
sides of it.
Let's see. Okay, so you did a spelling change there. 4.2.2, effect, right? Okay. So 4.2.3. This was following up on the community agencies to say, you know, that the executive committee can recommend a minimum of 1, maximum of, I said 3, representatives for consideration to the full CAC. And this, I wanted to talk about changing too, because I think that the full CAC can review it and approve it, and that's it. I don't see a reason it needs to go to the superintendent's council. So that would be my recommendation. Goes to the full CAC, they review it and approve it, done. Because those people are going to be on the
I
CAC.
think because a board approves each and every other member of the CAC, this was a way to get approval that the superintendent agreed.
Well, the CAC is a board as well, and
But you're
the
advising.
full CAC. Right. I know in talking to other CACs up and down the state that the decisions that happen for their CAC, you know, besides the fact that, like you say, school districts appoint people onto the CAC, but as far as the decisions about CAC that happen within CAC, they don't go in front of the superintendent's council. They stay among the CAC. So that would be my recommendation there, is that the full CAC reviews it and approves.
So what does it hurt if it goes to superintendent?
It just takes time, and the decision should happen here. I mean, it's the CAC that are going to be dealing with the person that's appointed, and they're going to go through an extensive reviewing of the person, so, or people, if it happens that they approve that. Look, I'm not naive. I know a lot of these things are long shots. Trust me, I've been down the bylaw revision path
But I think,
since 2008.
I think we have to be careful to think about, we want superintendents to work with us, and we want to work with them, right?
Right.
And so what does it hurt to take it through the process? We've had enough difficulty trying to get this process taken care of, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't want to circumvent necessarily the existing system
Well,
Because I don't think that's horrible.
well, let me tell you, the history on this, Susan, is the bylaws that were in effect before 2010 that were approved, this was very open-ended. CAC members that were from public or private agencies were approved by the CAC and it was done. And when they were revised, that's when it was added. So we're only talking about a 3-year history of it being that it needed to now go to the superintendent's council. So, I don't know, my opinion is the full CAC should vote it and be done because they're contending with the person who's put on their committee. So, I don't think it's a way of not working with the superintendents because I think that the CAC, they're going to be part of that particular group. You know, they're going to be appointed to this particular group. So that's my opinion about that one. The other part on here where it mentions the agencies considered for representation under 4.2.3, my suggestion was to delete that because it's not really necessary to list those out. I mean,
Which one are you?
that's the second paragraph of 4.2.3. Agencies considered for representation to the CAC may be but are not limited to, and it lists all of these agencies out. It's just not needed. I mean,
I think those are given as typical examples because they are for students with special needs.
right. But I think, you know, we have a list, and you guys have already compiled a list of agencies that you were considering. I don't know how many are on this list that you guys reached out to recently, but I don't know. Just to me, it's not necessary. But I'm not sure. And again, 4.2.4, where it talks about the teachers going in front of the program advisory committee, and they recommend up to 3 school staff for approval by the superintendent's council. My opinion here would be that, again, the full CAC reviews and approves the teacher choices. Because they're coming into the CAC committee. They're not going on to the superintendent's council committee, they're going on to the CAC. So, you know, the CAC should be the entity, the body to review and approve.
And so why do you think it was written this way?
That was, again, edited in 2010.
I would venture to guess they probably looked at some other existing CAC bylaws, but
I can't answer that. Yeah, I don't know what she did. But this was a change in 2010 as well, so this isn't old either.
And are you saying that this does not go to superintendent's either?
Right, that it goes to the full CAC. So it goes to the PAC, they decide who they want to put forward, and then it goes to the CAC. The full CAC reviews and approves which teachers will sit on their CAC.
I will put down whatever you want me to. You can see how I'm memorializing it, but I am trying to also caution you in a way, not that I'm trying to contest anything that you're saying, but I'm just saying, think about, we want their full support. And so we're saying, let us pick our representatives, let's pick our teachers, although you supervise them, you know who's the one that has maybe expertise in whatever.
Yeah, the PAC brings forward the names, right?
But the superintendents, they're teachers too. I'm just saying, if we're really working towards a spirit of collaboration, I think we would want to have everything go to them, just like Underground Act, we are totally transparent for whomever. I would think, at least for our superintendents, we would want to take these things, and I can't imagine if PAC has recommended these teachers in the first place, they probably talk to their superintendents. So I can't imagine superintendents turning it down. And I'm just saying, I think in the spirit of collaboration, I would be cautious.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to take any of these and change them, or if you want to go ahead.
Well, for first step, we're not going to the superintendent's council yet. This step is going to go to Monday, to the Monday.
I know, but even
So,
if you're trying to give the appearance that you're the representative representing the CAC, this appears
it was in an effort to take away some of the power that the people on the CAC had. That's my opinion. And that's why the bylaws are rewritten the way they are. You may not agree with that, but that is in essence what they did. I know the direction the bylaws were headed, because I sat on the local legislative standing committee at the time when she was editing the bylaws, and our edits of the bylaws were completely different than what the WESELPA administrators were. And when she brought the edits forward to the superintendent's council, she never brought ours. She only brought hers. So that's a little bit of the history of what happened there at the time. And you know, it's more, to me, it's more of a way to bring back some of the power to the CAC itself, to be able to make the decisions about the people that serve on the CAC. And because it is supposed to be an independent entity to some extent, for an advisory group, but the people that are serving, I mean, there should be some, not necessarily control, but kind of knowing who's coming in, rather than people just, you know, laying it.
I don't see it as power, I see it as protection.
Okay. So,
Lori, why don't you weigh in? I'm sure you have a thought.
Well, I tend to side, I see what you're saying, so I would agree with her, but, yeah, I'm like this. I'm like this right now, just because, and I think it's good that the superintendents have, you know, they can make that decision. You know, I don't know. It's
In
good
this
that
day
they
and
approve their
age,
teachers.
We
Yeah,
read
it's-
things in the news every day, and I would rather fall back on the superintendent's making a decision than the CHC.
okay, well, it can be discussed more on Monday too. Okay, so, let's see. We already did 4.2.4, right? Yeah. Well, here's the other up for debate, 4.2.6. And again, before 2010, board members that sat on the CAC were not non-voting. So this was the only board member we had on the CAC at the time was Ontario Welfare. And with the bylaw change, it instantly took away the right to vote.
Checking again, we're on 4.2.
2.6. So it took away voting rights and the ability to serve as an officer. So my recommendation is to reverse that, of course.
And we brought that up last year.
Right.
Um,
Yep, we did. 4.3.
just a second, let me type this and then we check what we're at. And be able to look this way.
To be an officer, yeah.
So, so I'm gonna say I share the perspective that potentially all districts could have all board members as voting members. So what would we do to continue?
This could be edited even more. I mean, it could be one board member from each district. That's, you know, the max that you can have. There are a number of ways to combat
I
this issue rather
think
than
Ed
strictly
Does,
voting.
I think Ed Code does say though that all board members can serve as ex officio, so we have 10 districts with 5 board members each. like when you're no longer a board member, you're gonna be replaced by somebody who does have childhood special needs.
Right. Is something could be put in there that board members can always be ex officio, but that only one board member from a district, you know, is allowed to have voting rights and serve, and allowed to serve as an officer. Something along those lines. I can think of a myriad of ways to accomplish it, but, you know, in all honesty, at the time, I wasn't on the board. I'm on the board now, but I wasn't on the board. I was on the CAC. I was the vice chair at the time. And it was such a slap in the face to know, because here she was a full board member, having voting rights, and in all honesty, you know, seeing the work that she does, the work that I do, it's a slap in the face to say, you're allowed to be here, but you're not allowed to vote, and you're not allowed to be an officer.
You could serve a dual role though.
What do you mean?
You could be the appointed CAC member for the district.
Right. Good. Yeah. But I was, our chair was already appointed before I was elected. So, and he has his term. So yeah, that is a possibility. But I'm just telling you the history on that, you know, back when it happened. And again, my opinion is it was done as a means to take away power from a person on the CAC who had voting rights. And, you know, and all of that. That's my opinion, you know, of what happened back then. And that was in 2010. So it wasn't all that long ago. So that, I mean, I just think there's a number of ways that it can be worked around to still show some respect. I mean, it's hard for me to say because now I sit as a person who's on a board. But even then, I was very vocal about it. I haven't changed how I felt about it before I was a board member and after becoming a board member. I feel the same way, very passionately about it, that, you know, these people, including myself now, were elected by the public, and there should be some respect given there. And I feel that it was very disrespectful to take away, you know, voting rights and the right to be an officer when that was in place before, this whole time. That's my opinion about that issue. And I think there's workarounds, you know, to make it work. And I think I said the same last year. So I'll just keep saying it until someone listens. So
They listened?
They listened, but nothing changed. I'll just keep saying it. My opinion of 4.3, this is under term limits, is that it should just be the term of office shall be 2 years. And that everything else on there, which is,
Can I ask you something?
yeah,
I'm a little concerned that you had all this time to go over it and.
right. Well, because we're doing it on Monday,
Perhaps-
so I have to do my homework.
Perhaps you might want to go item by item and ask if anybody else has.
Oh, yeah, chime in anytime.
That's
Oh,
Chime in anytime.
I would, I'm just,
Chime in anytime. I'm sorry if I'm
No,
holding you guys up.
no, I'll say something.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we're a small group here. Sorry, yeah, I have homework to do. I mean, I had to do this for the Monday meeting, so I went through it all and took my notes. So 4.3, under term, you know, my suggestion is to just change it to 2 years. And this information about, you know, that we're gonna appoint an odd and even and all of that, that's under 4.3.1 and 4.3.2, to just take that out, because they'll appoint them when they appoint them. I mean, it's a 2-year term. You could say the term begins July 1st through June 30th. That's all that's necessary. That's my opinion.
So are they staggered?
They are currently.
Oh, okay, because I'm like, how do we, okay, they must be staggered then.
Yeah, they're staggered.
Okay.
But it kind of hasn't worked out so well because it's been, I don't know, there's been some difficulty with that, in my opinion. It's just easier to kind of make it more open. You know, districts will appoint somebody every 2 years. Period. We need somebody on every 2 years.
How interesting. And when you go to Sacramento, you'll hear people say the only people that really know what's going on are the lobbyists, because they're there, and
All
all
the
the time, people come, go, and so in California, we don't have much of a collective memory of
Yeah.
how we got to decisions. 2 years staggering them, 2 years, and half come on every year. I mean, that's not gonna help us 100%, but I do think it's so we have a collective memory, and that there's a design to it. Otherwise, you would have 2-year terms with everybody probably coming and going at the same time. So I think it's to help us keep a record of who's supposed to be up, to give other parents an opportunity to participate, and to ensure that if you're coming on this year and you were there at least last year, you kind of know what a CAC is all about. 'Cause it takes a little bit of
I
time
think,
to figure it out.
Yeah.
yeah, I think the staggering is a great idea, because me coming in, now, at first when I first came in, I was totally lost, to be honest, because I have to learn a whole new set of terminology, everything's just so different. And so it helps when you have, people that are experienced and have been here, at least you can ask questions and do that. But can you imagine just going in all brand new, no one knows what they're doing? No one knows what they're doing, because it's, like she had said, we're like kind of blind to it all, because this is the first time that I've ever really seen it when I was invited to do this. And this is the first time I've been introduced. I kind of heard of it, but, it wasn't real clear.
Yeah.
So now I'm, learning it and I'm getting the hang of it, but to have, and some people are gonna know more than others, obviously, but a lot of them will come in kind of blind, and that won't be it.
Yeah.
So it's good that it's staggered. And it's probably not even a bad idea to have like the term a little bit longer, because, once you're like pretty much getting the hang of it, you've got probably like, a year and a half or a year to go, and then you gotta get somebody else to do it.
But we don't have term
Yeah.
limits, so that's a good thing.
Yes,
Multiple
exactly.
times.
Exactly. So I may just do it. I don't know.
We
We'll
hope
see.
so.
We'll see. But it just depends on the timing of it all.
Right.
But yeah, I think the staggering is good. In my case, it would be good.
Okay, so now you have something on here before me, so go ahead, Susan.
Anyway, you had said, you wanted this to apply to all of section 4. Oh, I added, all meetings are subject to the Ralph. All meetings subject to the Ralph M. Brown Act shall have 5 days prior public notice and be open to the public. I just wanted to put the words Ralph M. Brown Act.
Okay.
My pagination. So we're down to 5.1.3.
Well, yeah, 5.1.3, I didn't really have an edit here, but I just wanted to point it out because I know a question came up recently from a CAC member about not getting notification of meetings.
And that's been remedied. I have my Royal distribution list now.
Oh, okay. So I was just going to point that one out.
So we don't need to put anything there?
No, we don't need to put anything there. The next thing I have, unless you guys have anything, is all the way to 5.2.8.
Wow. Let's see here. Let me scroll through. Yeah, I don't have anything.
Well, the one before that, I mean, people should be aware of, because, it says no letters or personally presented statements of concerns against individuals will be acted on by the WESELPA CAC. People can come and say whatever they want, of course, and they can present a letter, but that doesn't mean that anybody needs to speak up or speak out, or even bash the person who says something.
Yeah, we just like,
Yes, just like a board, when you go to a board meeting, people come and bash you, you just try not to cry. Straight face. Roll with the punches. Okay, so but 5.2.8 My opinion of this one, all CAC members will encourage a positive atmosphere during any CAC meeting or event. West and SELPA CAC members will conduct themselves in a professional manner that encourages respectful dialogue between all persons present. It is nice. It is a positive thing. However, I guess I have a little bit of concern about, free speech issues here. I mean, because we can't really be policing their behavior, so to speak. I mean, it'll get back to their district and they can deal with it. I'm sure people will get it back to their district if people are acting up, but I don't know. It just seems to kind of conflict with free speech, so I just thought I'd bring that up.
I think if we're all focused on what we want to accomplish, we can still say our differences of opinion
In a respectful way, yeah.
respectful manner
Oh, definitely.
and be positive. I think this year, the meetings, for the most part, have felt very, very positive.
Yeah.
And so, and I think it's true, we want people to conduct themselves in a professional manner. They're representing their school district,
Sure.
their programs, and respectful dialogue. We can share our differences of opinion, but I think it's also respectful. So what do you want to say?
Maybe something along the lines of what you're saying. What you're saying doesn't seem to violate free speech so much. As this kind of to me does. It's like just
I was
me.
just quoting it.
Well, but you were kind of saying that there can be differences of opinion, of course, but that you need to be respectful about your interactions with, the people at the meetings or whatever. Something along those lines where you're saying that it's okay to have a difference of opinion in there, because that's not really represented there. That you can have a difference of opinion or whatever. I don't know, just something about the way it's written that irks me. Okay. Are you on I'm gonna go to 6.1. This is under officers. And I think this needs to be cleaned up. We need to get rid of immediate past chairperson under composition.
Well, in a perfect world, you would still have that person on,
Yeah, but we don't, our past chairperson isn't on
but this
CAC.
isn't written for the current situation, but to be applicable regardless. So, let's say after this year, Russell were to decide to stay with us, he would still be the immediate past chairperson.
Yeah. Well, true.
I think chairperson-elect, vice chairperson, secretary, immediate past chairperson, I think the one that's questionable to me is why do we have a chairperson-elect and a
That's
vice chairperson?
my other thing in there. I still recommend that we delete immediate past chairperson to keep it fair and consistent, because even right now, I mean, it's like technically our former chairperson could be on the executive committee, but she's not on the CAC, so could she? I don't know. According to this, she could. So
Maybe then the clarification is immediate past chairperson is still a member of the CAC.
sure, that's acceptable. So my recommendation, since the description of the chairperson-elect falls in line with parliamentarian, is to change the chairperson-elect job to parliamentarian.
Change which one?
The chairperson-elect to parliamentarian, because their job description is parliamentarian.
So typically,
Yeah, and they're both written that way, both the vice chair and the chairperson-elect are written that way.
Would you be open to the vice chairperson as the parliamentarian and the chairperson-elect?
Well, then you would just need to change the description, because the chairperson-elect, how it reads right now, their description, is they serve as parliamentarian and act upon Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised. So their job description would need to be changed to, the other one. I really don't care which is which, I'm just saying it fell in the line more with the chairperson-elect being parliamentarian. But in here, they both take over if the chair's gone. I want to say one thing before you have to leave, you have a half an hour, right? I want to say one thing, this is not the CAC bylaws, but something that Liz had mentioned to me too was something like a guide or a class or a training or something for the new CAC members coming in, maybe even for all of them, would be good. Where you kind of go over a primer of the Brown Act and the Robert's Rules of Order. That's something I don't know very much about myself,
Right.
honestly. Robert's Rules, and then like the bylaws, doesn't have to go through all of them, but like a primer on that, so that you're kind of prepared for
Right.
coming in here and not knowing what the heck is going on.
Exactly. We come in like blind, and,
Yeah.
don't get anything
Right,
prepared before we come in.
exactly.
So it's
And
overwhelming
this year,
at first.
it's not been like we're already at once. It's like the boards have been doing it at different times, so we
Yeah.
don't need to do that.
Yeah,
That'd be perfect.
definitely,
It'd help.
yeah. So you got that up, Susan? You don't care, I don't care which one it is.
See what I said, discussion,
Oh.
immediate past chairperson, if a current member of CAC. Christie recommends to change vice chairperson's title and description to be changed. Vice chairperson's title and description be changed to parliamentarian, chairperson-elect to be in line to assume chair position in coming year.
Okay. The 6.3 on that, the terms of office, my recommendation on that would be, it says the term of office shall be for 2 years for these officers, and then it talks about, consecutive terms. My recommendation is no consecutive terms, that a person serves for the 2 years, and then somebody else can serve for that position. They can come back if they're still in the CAC and serve that position, but just like no consecutive terms. So that's my recommendation. Give everybody a chance to take jobs.
Wait a second. The term of office shall be for 2 years.
This is for the officers, yeah.
No person shall serve more than 3 consecutive, except 6 years, except for the chairperson who can serve 8 years. In the event of a vacancy, the office shall be filled by majority vote of quorum present.
Okay, so this is not talking about current representative.
No, this is for the officers, like the chair.
CAC body votes or the CAC chair designate. Let's get into that and come back to this.
Okay. So the description under 6.4 really, to just, what I put there was, whoever is decided is gonna be the parliamentarian, the vice chair, the chair-elect. Did you say vice chair? That's what you wanted to change to?
Vice chair of parliamentarian.
Okay.
And the chair elect is the person in line for the chair.
Okay, so just to change the verbiage there, put the stuff that's under chair-elect at the bottom there where it says,
Okay, the chairperson presiding all committee meetings, including the chairperson. Appoint either the chairperson. So, member appointed as a SCAC spokesperson to the next.
Yeah.
Okay, I just got all messed up with that.
Oh,
These, comments, I think is what's changing the pagination. Okay.
So the descriptions of the chairperson-elect and the vice chair, those just need to be, cleaned up because the chairperson-elect's job is gonna fall in the vice chair, essentially.
So changes approved. Change titles.
Okay,
Definitely the secretary.
no, 7.1.2, now we're on committees. I just wanted to point out here that, here it says a quorum shall consist of the majority of the committee members. I know this came up in our last meeting, so it wasn't to make a change, just to point that out.
So what is it?
It says that we were discussing the issue of what a quorum was when you have a committee that meets. And it's based on, according to 7.1.2, the majority of committee members. So, and the three committees are listed here. So we have standing committees, ad hoc, executive committees. And so quorum is the majority of the committee members on those different committees. Now, okay. 7.2.1,
Something to think about. If we were to get rid of any of us, we could hold that. So if you were together, like if we were an ad hoc task force, and we would have a local plan review committee, we had a local plan as a year. We could have met and have, to still ground active.
so 7.2.1.
7.2, I just added the, for everything else, say the argument.
Oh, okay, good. Under 7.2.1, where it says that the executive committee will recommend topics and provide presenters for the CAC meeting. Where is that? That's the second to last sentence of 7.2.1. I recommend deleting that because we already have a standing committee doing that work. So it's not necessary there. A lot of stuff I have left is just getting into the nitty-gritty of these standing committees. So 7.2.2 is a public information
So
and
we
membership.
duplicate.
Yeah, it's not needed because they don't do that in the executive committee. It gets done in the parent and community education committee, decides the topics and the speakers, and discusses that issue. So it's not needed. The public information membership committee, these are not things that we necessarily are doing right now, but this is something that I was hoping to talk about possibly this committee considering doing. I talked to a couple of CACs, people across the state, and they have their own website, for instance, for the CAC, an independent website. And they have on there a button to sign up for the community to receive notifications of meetings and the presentations via email. They have the email addresses of the CAC members on the website. They have Facebook pages for their CAC. They establish and maintain them. This would be work that this committee could be doing. This doesn't necessarily fall under this committee, but one of the CAC people pointed out that they have, that their cell phone utilizes phone service Ed Connect to phone special education parents and let them know when presentation meetings are. So it sends a phone call to all the parents and special ed parents to let them know. And they use that the resource Ed Connect.
I said you're gonna give me a list of those businesses on that.
Oh, okay.
You can always,
But,
you can always keep them and stay in there.
yeah, yeah.
You just want to be careful, we obligate.
Yeah. The section in there about media and recruiting members, I just don't think it's needed. It's not something that really we do, so I don't think it's necessary to have it in there.
Second one?
That, yeah, the media, yeah, and then, it says, and then midway through, it will take the opportunity when appropriate to recruit members that reflect the community the West and Selma serves, not something they do or anything, so,
You know, Rose used to do a lot of that.
oh yeah.
I'm gonna say,
Because it's not really them that recruit, I mean, you know, it's the board, the school board that chooses the people on the CSE.
so I said, see your recommended deletion, and then here's how I changed it. The public information membership committee will provide or assist in organizing opportunities to collect CAC and these other counties, interested persons involved. She used to take it to the schools, and you saw that too, so, and you were saying that you had it, I'm sure, so let's leave it in, so that you can have it, and get rid of this taken out. That you take out the other one about you. Because we really don't want anybody going on top of the media, going on all the time.
Yeah. 7.2.3 is the Parent and Community Education Committee. They're doing a lot more than what's in here, so I thought it would be good to add the resource guide. They're the ones that recommend the topics and recommend the presenters for the CAC presentations. They do the quarterly newsletter. The rest of it, I don't know, it just didn't seem relevant. So I would replace that with some of this, because that's really what they're actively doing in their very busy committee. Are you in that committee? Right. That's Edith's.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
I went one time,
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a busy one.
for sure.
I told her I'll help her behind the scenes, but I can't do it till.
Yeah, I did go.
Oh, okay.
It was good. She was glad.
Did she have food?
She did, she
Yeah.
had a feast.
Yeah.
So I said, change to reflect her practice of planning training topics.
Yeah. I'll give you the rest of what I wrote, but yeah, it's just everything they're really doing here. The 7.2.4, that's this group. That's again where I said recommended 3 parents to participate in local plan review. I referenced back to 3.2.10, which is the one we discussed at the very beginning. And also the fiscal allocation review committee. There's nothing in here about participating with legislative sharing day. That might be a good thing to consider adding. Reaching out to legislators locally. 3.2.2 also cross references with that particular one. And it actually discusses what we should be talking about when we go see legislators. 3.2.2 does. The thing that I was wanting to consider adding here was that this group could discuss ex-pot expenses. That might be something relevant to discuss. It doesn't have to be put in there, but that was just something that I was thinking about. 7.2.5, the art and writing. What I wanted to consider for this particular group, everything else for all these committees goes to the full CAC at some point to get approval. So nothing is decided in our committee that's, you know, it's not made, it goes in the committee, it goes back to the full CAC at some point to be approved. But I think that this one, there should be an exception. this is art writing, because of the fact that there's just no time. I mean, everything is in motion and trying to get through. So my recommendation is that this committee has the authority to make the decisions about the event and handling of the event outside having to go to full CAC for review and approval. And I know that might be something that people have an issue with, but even just really thinking about being pigeonholed to have to wait for another CAC meeting, because the next one isn't until January, about decisions. They could always call one, but it seems like it's very difficult to do everything that has to be done and for that particular event that's held every year, and be held to having to put it on the agenda for a CAC meeting to get the approval before you go through whatever you're doing. So I know it's a controversial thing, but I think it should be considered because of that reason. And so I'll just skip ahead to 8.10, which is under the role of the WESELPA administrator. It says provide in-service information concerning in-service training CAC members may wish to attend. And my recommendation here would be to change that to community members, so that essentially any parent is able to attend an in-service training that the WESELPA holds, that that would be effective for a CAC member or anybody.
Provide information concerning in-service training individuals may wish to attend.
Yeah. The last one here, as far as the bylaw that exists, 9.3, it says changes to the bylaws may be proposed by the CAC for approval to the superintendent's councils. All changes shall require a 2/3 vote of all committee members present at a regularly scheduled CAC business meeting. So, this one here, my recommendation, but after hearing you guys, I don't know if I should go forward with this one, but my recommendation was that it should be that the bylaws proposed and approved requires the vote by the majority of the CAC members, period, if you're going to change the bylaws. I would be open to considering that, okay, it still needs to go in front of the superintendent's council, even though I am opposed to that. But I think that the changes requiring 2/3 vote of committee, of that's the CAC, is way too much. And by the way, the changes that we made in May of this, was it this year? This year. We didn't have 2/3. But the change happened anyway. We didn't have 2/3 members attend that meeting. So even of the CAC, president. Right. Right. I don't think we even had a quorum at that meeting. I'm not sure.
We did, but I'm trying to look at the vote. Was there one person outstanding or was there none?
I think so.
So we did have 2/3 of the quorum. We really did.
Okay. But I'm just
Same
saying,
numbers.
it's near impossible to do 2/3. I just think that, right, majority would be, I mean, we do a majority vote for everything else.
If we have 4 people, we would have, but majority of quorum now would be 6.
Right.
We have 8. So quorum would be 5. So then if that 5, then present we have 2/3. So we have 3.
Right. Yeah, so my recommendation is, majority vote is usually how it's done. So I think it should be
majority vote of
Committee members present, yes.
quorum. That makes sense? Is it a quorum required with the majority vote?
Yeah. And,
I don't want me to proceed with the comments about superintendent council. I would caution with the team players or advisory in this committee. So we make recommendations to them that they are the voting body.
right.
I love her. She
We're on the right track.
Yeah, because I know it's gonna be a hard sell. Yeah. I was opposed to this 2/3 issue, you know, back when they approved it in 2010. So, yeah, I'm sure it will be a hard sell no matter what happens. So,
Well, Chris, you're in a political office. You know, you have to present things in a way that you want what you want approved. So I would say,
no, as I said, I'm open to leaving the superintendent
so
in there.
let's just, can we take a minute? Is this the end of? Yes.
One more thing, that's not on the bylaws, but, you know, it goes back to the handout that I had enclosed, that I showed Tim today, which is the last page of it, that says, this is on page 9, that's under L, says fiscal and logistical support of the community advisory committee. So apparently, you know, the local plan is supposed to, for all intents and purposes, give fiscal support to the CAC. And Susan and I were discussing that before you guys arrived. And some of the things that, you know, we could be considering are, well, we've already had the superintendent's approve translation services for this school year. But the other big thing that keeps coming up, which would require fiscal support, is childcare.
I think that's more of a liability issue more than it's anything else. And
Right.
finding the location and who to provide.
Right.
And all of those things about having people authorized to be able to provide that service.
True. There's a lot of obstacles. Corona and Norco, I don't know if you ever talked to the SELPA director there, but they were providing childcare. I don't know how they do it, but did you ever have a chance to talk to them?
You know, and then they had to change the software.
Oh, okay. So I know a couple other SELPAs who do it, to do childcare, and I know a couple districts, like OMSD, they have meetings and they have child support available through the district somehow. I know it's possible, but you're right, there are a lot of logistics involved. But I know that this is an area of concern as far as having a budget, you know, to do all of that. I had made a list of the legislators that I was hoping for my committee to be able to reach out to. One is leaving off, he left office, Emerson, so there's only a small handful now. Here it is. There's Norman Torres, Bob Huff, Carol Liu, they're in the Senate. Emerson is gone now, and his seat is open, so that's 3, and then the Assembly has 4. Rodriguez, Newly, and then Mike Morrell, Kurt Hagman, and Chris Holden. To reach out to them. I already let Susan know I don't plan to go to legislative day myself, sharing day myself, and I had spoken to another person in my committee. She can't go either.
And
So-
I think we need to talk to Russell about.
Right. So I don't know if it's something that you
And
think
he
we should.
can't go.
Right.
Cuckoo.
Well, I don't know if that's what I was gonna talk to you about. I don't know. If we reached out to these people locally, do you feel that there's a reason to go to Ledge Day? You feel strongly about that? Okay.
No, I think that's a wonderful opportunity. Legislative information sharing day cells across the state send CAC representatives every year. So last year I took the chair. And then Russell was the chair
The
of
local
this
Senate,
committee,
yeah.
so I took the 2 of them. And so they did great presentations. You have the opportunity to hear about the legislative process. They give you a really good little story about their own child, and that's what really makes an impact. They're gonna remember the face of a child, the parent that told them the story, and then we have key things that we want to talk to them about, either pending legislation that we've chosen as a whole organization to present that day, like when you go and vote on this pending legislation, please remember this and that and the other, where you're opposing it or supporting it, and then also maybe something in the budget, like last year, workability runs at risk, so we can talk to them about that, and just another.
But you don't think that could, I mean, apart from the great presentation that they do, that could be accomplished by us visiting locally with these people?
I think we should do both.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think again this year, the task force, I'm writing my update on the Southwood, but there's a task force that's been convened, and they're looking at special ed, financial program, credentialing, and I think the other two things. 200 people applied, and we have 20 people from across California in different roles sitting on this task force, and I'm curious to see what's going to come out of it in terms of the recommended system changes for special ed. So I think depending on what comes out of that and whether we agree with it or not, that's another opportunity to go visit with legislators and say, this is really important, this whole group was put together, funded by this Schwab Foundation. And so I think, I think it would be good to have a presence there with something.
Okay. Well, I was able to go hear Darlene Hammond at CSBA.
Oh.
Yeah, she did a presentation on quorum last week, so I was able to go here. It's a very popular topic. Everybody was.
But it was effective.
Yeah, I feel that it was a little more geared towards teachers and implementing Common Core rather than school board trustees, and that's not really our role, as far as actually implementing in the classroom. We more look at the big picture. but still, she did a good job, and she's very popular. But anyway, going back to it, what were you going to say before? I'm done now.
Well,
I've done my list.
So here's what I put. See how this looks to all of you. Additional area half of fiscal and logistical support for CAC people memorialized in the bylaws. And I said, today's date. Okay,
Thanks,
thank you so
Gloria,
much.
for coming. Appreciate it.
So you're going to okay. See you.
Have a great holiday.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Happy evening.
This is medium.
Go play some music with your son. Choose how we first son plays the drums, and his goal in life is to be a drummer for Pink.
Fun.
She said he's really, really good. She plays a bunch of instruments too.
That's awesome.
So I put additional area half of fiscal and logistical support for CAC. For ed code, right?
Yeah.
Be memorialized in the bylaws. Fiscal allocation plan work group at 12/11/13 is added into the fiscal allocation plan, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will get this ready.
Was there something you wanted to go back over?
Oh, I
Some
just,
terms?
here's, no.
Or the superintendent's council
All I
stuff?
was going to say, take a look at the comments and just see if you want to revise any of these.
Okay.
I said delete and add back in if and when there is a newsletter.
Yep.
30 days prior to what, and I'm to review and send recommendations to you on new wording.
Okay.
You recommend CAC local plan review committee members participate on full review committee. So,
Well, I
the thing
recommended,
was the members.
yeah, and I really recommended, parents to kind of leave it general and open, but,
But first,
think it'd be better if there was just more than one. I think it would be easier.
You suggested 2 members per district to share the load of work on the committees.
Yeah.
And Andrea, you indicated more parents might participate if they had a better understanding, which is true.
No, actually, when I was, going over the recommendations towards the end, they mentioned implementing like the website and the Facebook and all that. I think that's an excellent idea. I think that's really the best way, to.
To reach out.
Here's some issues. I can't, on any, equipment within the whole county, I cannot access Facebook.
Oh.
So we would have Facebook up there, and I would not be able to see if any.
Website would be sufficient, doesn't have to be Facebook.
We do have a SELPA website with a CAC page, and
I saw it.
I've been here a year and a half, and I'm the first one to say things need to be more user-friendly and more inviting, but I think this year taking on the local plan is our big deal, but the fiscal
Yeah.
allocation plan is part of it. Everything this year with local control funding formula and Common Core, we're doing a 5-part series for staff in all the districts on Common Core and special ed, and we'll do a training in February.
Right.
So just trying to do all those things, and then maybe this summer we can take a look at our website. But I think we don't want to, I think we all agree on those things, but I think sometimes less is more. If you lock yourself into too much detail in a plan at this level, then it looks bad if you're not doing all of it.
Yeah.
If you can have it kind of general, but you do it in more, I think that's a good.
There should probably be some sort of outreach specifics within the bylaws, right? Are there?
Well,
The pamphlets is the really
Well,
specific.
the membership committee is supposed to try to encourage other people to come, parent education committee.
Right.
This is gonna sound funny to you, but I was in 2 SELPAs in Central California, and we had maybe 2 people come, and in my previous SELPA in San Diego, we had all the district directors were obligated to come, and we got a parent or 2.
You don't have
It
to.
was like amazing. So it's something people just really struggle with across the state. And I think lots of times, even if we had childcare, which that would be a good thing, I think childcare would be good, but I'm a parent of a child with autism too, and I was a single mom for many years, so when you're working and you've got to help them with homework and everything else at night, and I had another child too, my son, it's not going to be top priority unless we're doing a presentation. I can see parents coming,
Yeah.
but to our actual business meetings,
Yeah.
I just don't see.
Well, everything, when you gave us that reference before for the, what was it, like the West Ed, you could get money for a respite person to come and take care, and then you get reimbursed. Yeah, it's great, but then they discontinued that this school year, that funding. Yeah.
Ashwell Foundation.
Yeah.
Are all the
You'll
members,
send an account.
are all the members of the CAC, are they all parents of children with special needs?
Most,
The majority.
majority, that's the law.
So the average parent that comes, yeah, because they're hoping to find that they're gonna get something out of it that's gonna be helpful to them, or sometimes they'll have grandparents or an aunt and uncle, or, whatever. So, Christie, I'm on 4.2.6 of your comments. So you feel passionately about that. Terms, you're still with this, you don't agree with the staggering for the purposes that we show? I'm just giving you the opportunity if
It's
you
not
want.
an issue of real concern to me, like you can just delete it. It's really not the meat and potatoes of edits. I mean,
Yes, choose your battles wisely.
that's true.
Okay.
I see what you mean about the,
Yeah, I threw it off. I think I had page breaks in there, and I can't quite see them right at the moment, so.
unit, I don't know.
I think it's gonna be voted up by the full committee, so we really, I think we're lucky, we get people to do consecutive terms of office, quite frankly, but I'm just saying, I don't think that many people stay that long.
Yeah,
Especially if the kids are in high school and they start with us anyway.
sure. Yeah, I don't think those are very debatable, they're just adding the information there. Okay. That may get some issues with the art and writing, but I don't know. I think that was it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will go and mess with them or do it tomorrow and in 2 years you can see it.
Okay.
Picture.
Oh, these are my lovely grandchildren.
Oh.
Levi is 7, Ellie is 4.
Oh.
And I asked Levi, well, last summer we were up there and I wasn't there, David Washington wasn't there for their birthdays.
Oh.
So I went by with the cake and did a little birthday. But he's decided he wants the $39.98 bag out from Walmart for Christmas.
I told you how much it is and
So I
everything.
said, Levi. You
That's
see
too
that
cute.
there. I said, so Levi, $39.98. I'm not exactly sure we know when that would be. He's like, well, Grandma, you know, what is $39.98? So I was talking with my daughter-in-law and she said, well, he's trying to earn money these days. And I remember I earned money for a watch when I got that. And he used to have this watch that has the glass figurines on the Timex watches well before your timer would show. But anyway, so he's focusing on cost so we can figure out how much money he has to spend.
That's too
Great. I think that's awesome.
And like, he's so funny. I asked to talk to him when I called up there. Wanting to get back to whatever it was that he was doing at